Welcome, welcome, welcome. Wanting validation is normal on a human level, but at what point does the need for validation start to cost us? That's kind of where we're going with this tonight. Um, I'm Babu. Welcome to the Babu Speak Show. Um, Tonight we're going to dive into um, the approval and the difference between being nice and kind. We're going to cover some points, some deep steps. I wrote some notes. Um, but one of the things we're going to cover is why do we seek validation and the cost of approval. Um, you might have asked yourself or thought or pondered something. Uh, um, you might have had a conversation with someone and you kind of left with something kind of wasn't right. Or you might have been in a situation where someone gave you a hard truth and it stung a little bit. But at the end of the day, you knew it came from a good place. Um, Example might be your brother, your sister, your mom. Somebody knows cares about you, and they might tell you something, maybe something that you don't even want to hear. Um, but at some point, depending on your level of maturity and understanding, um, you're like, I know they were right. I just didn't like the way they said it. And at the end of the day, that's the difference between being kind and being nice. And that's kind of what we're going to dive into tonight. Um, Being nice often is about politeness, social harmony, avoiding conflict. Nice people tend to say what others want to hear. It's surface level and rooted in how others see us. That's being nice. But being kind comes from a place of genuine care, empathy, and courage. Kindness might involve honesty, even if it's uncomfortable. It's about doing what's right, not just what's easy or pleasant. Mm. That makes you go, kind of makes you think a little bit. At the end of the day, is I've always said, and until I actually did a little bit of research and started studying on this and thinking about, because people say, "Oh, you're so nice." I said, "No, I'm not nice. I'm kind." Um, and not in a smart way, and not in an asinine way, but in a way that I know that being nice isn't genuine necessarily, right? Um, One example is that I give people all the time. I really like. Let's say I'm going into 7-Eleven, right? And I'm on my way. And it actually just happened 2 days ago, a couple days ago. Um, this guy, uh, older man, older gentleman, came. When I tell you he was moving like a snail, he was moving like a snail. No judgment, but he literally took probably 30 to 60 seconds to get to the door, and I sat there and waited and opened it with a smile. Um, some people say, "Oh, that was nice of you," but at the end of the day, another clear separation is intention. When you're kind, you tend to lead with intention. So I intentionally held the door, knowing that he was handicapped, knowing that he walked slow, knowing that it might take him 2, 3 minutes to get there. But I knew that at the end of the day, that's one less thing he's gonna have to worry about. That's how deep I thought into it, almost instantly. Like I'm gonna say, hold this door. I'm not gonna let him struggle to get to the door, and then struggle to open the door, and then have to struggle to get through the door again in a place that's kind of busy, that's back and forth. That, to me, that was kindness. Um, an example of nice would be someone holding the door and taking no notice of who's coming behind them, and then they'll just leave it. And then when you get close enough, then they let the door, and then boom, they're on the way. They rush. They don't put much thought into it. Like, what if the door, you know what I'm saying, like closed on you? They really didn't think much into it. It was just maybe sort of like a for show thing, or it's just a habitual thing for them. Uh, and, and then and then off and running. But I kind of went a little deeper on this once I started to see some of the breakdown of what nice is and what kindness is. I have what they call the hero complex. Um, and so that is when dealing with friends, even in relationships, I tend to be the one everyone leans on. And it's it definitely feeds the ego. Not even an ego, it just feels a need, a want, I guess. And so saying no isn't, or wasn't, I have been working on that though, but saying no really didn't come easy for me. And it's not that I'm an indecisive person, it's just more so like, damn, I need this. And I think I did a show in the last season where empathy um, and compassion can be confused sometimes because once you start taking on someone else's problems, then they become your problems, your chaos, your toxicity, everything involved that they have going on. So I definitely been working on some things to fix that. But looking at the difference between kind and nice, um, I can't always say I've been kind with my friends because if I'm always giving in, if I'm always giving, I'm not giving them hard truths. I'm not giving them the uncomfortable talks. I'm not saying no, knowing that one, this one particular help is not going to necessarily help them to actually start to produce. Like it's kind of like giving a person a fish as opposed to teaching a person how to fish. Um, I just become the hook. So every time they need something, they know the hook, basically. Um, so it had me start questioning myself: Am I really kind as I like to think? And if I'm not telling the uncomfortable or the hard truth, or checking people when they do something that's inappropriate, out of character for friendship, then no, I'm not being as kind as I feel like as I thought I was. That's more like being nice, Mr. Nice Guy, the pushover, the yes man, trying to please everybody. And the sad thing is that sometimes when you start to try to please everyone, everyone does not respect you because they don't have to work at anything for you from you. That's kind of as a hard pill to swallow, but at the end of the day, knowledge brings wisdom. Wisdom brings growth. So now I know. I mean, I kind of already knew, but now I'm like, it's in my face type thing where it's like, you gonna keep being nice or you gonna start being kind. I decided I'm gonna start being kind. You know, tell motherfucker how it is, respectfully, nicely, in a kind way. But I have to work about keeping my peace, making sure that I love me if no one else does. And I need to make sure that I'm not putting myself in harm's way, not necessarily physically, but financially or emotionally drained and taxed. Because at the end of the day, when the door closes and I lock it behind them, I'm left by myself. And what am I left with? Still their struggle, still their stress, and all this that I end up taking on. Nah, nah, we're gonna start changing it. We're gonna start refine. We're gonna refine some things and put them in perspective to where if you get attitude because I say no, or because I tell you something that would only help you, and I tell you as a friend, then that's a reflection on you. It's no longer a reflection on me. I have to wise up on that part, on that side. Um, and in relationships, it's like it really just helped me understand a lot of death sentences that I say I gave myself for being nice. It's one kindness. You always giving, always like trying to please, 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 trying to do everything so that they don't ever fall straight their knee. That's not being kind. That's not kind. It's niceness. You know. There's some key differences that I noted. And yes, I can see, so I put my glasses on. There we go. Um, the aspect, the categories are intent, depth, honesty, motivation. Motivation, I think, could also be labeled also intent. Um, Obviously, the other two categories are being nice and being kind. Nice, the intent, avoid discomfort to be liked. Um, when I was growing up, I I I I fiend for that, like a hell fiends for his hits. I always wanted to be liked because I always gave everybody the best of me. So I mean, it's not nothing wrong wanting to be liked, but again, in the opening we said at what cost. Um, and I'm sure, especially as a youth, the one I got bullied, I got picked on because I was already happy. I feel like if I got bullied, I got bullied. Everybody's different. I feel like I got bullied because I was always happy. I was always extra. My energy was always high. Um, and eventually, somewhere in my head, somewhere in my brain, it clicked. It was like, hey, look, we want to be liked. We want people not to talk about us. We want people not to bully us. We want people not to pick on us. Um, so I would start to cater, in a sense, to the people that I interacted with at school, on the bus, whatever neighborhood. And I would always try to be the one to get the laughs from everybody, um, no matter what I had going on in my head or whatever. But I wanted to be laugh. I want to get everybody to laugh or get everybody to feel good. Be the one that takes control sometimes. It backfired a lot. um, in that same category, being kind, instinct is help other even if it's hard, or tough. The depths of it, how deep it goes, being nice is surface level or being polite. Imagine going to your in-laws, you can't stand near one of them motherfuckers, and you go up in there and they're like, oh, he's such a sweet boy. Can't stand none of you bitches, but literally, like, you can go in there, you're gonna play your role, you're gonna do what you gotta do. Um, you're gonna be polite, you're gonna, like, just, you ain't calling these people when you leave, you're not, you know, keeping tabs, going to hang out, none of that. This is a family, this may be Thanksgiving or somebody's birthday or bar mitzvah or whatever it may be. You're gonna put on airs. You can go in there because it's your wife's family or your husband's family or whatever the case is, your spouse's family. So you're gonna go in there. You're gonna do what you gotta do to get that day or night over with. So being kind, which is kind of the opposite of that, obviously, which is rooted in compassion and empathy. So the depth, how deep that goes, is compassion and empathy. So for one, you gotta have some feeling for someone, one way or another, um, and you're gonna actually care about that interaction in that situation. Being honest, the honest category for nice is often avoids hard truths. So just let's make it a little bit fun. You might see a booger on somebody's nose, and you don't really want to call them out, front of everybody, and then you'll just be like, "Oh no, you look great." Kind of patronizing a little bit, I guess maybe, but at the end of the day, that's the hard truth. Or um, I don't know. I mean, it could be your girl, your wife, and she might be like, "Well, how does my hair look?" And she might be insecure in that area, and you're gonna not want confrontation and argument. Because maybe you argue a lot. I don't know, but you're gonna avoid telling her your hair looks like shit. I mean, for real. But being kind, willing to speak the truth with care or respectfully. I don't know. Seems like I, I don't know. I just had a thought that popped in my head just then. Um, nice is it's avoidance and being tiptoeing. Where kind is basically going straight in, and I hope that it comes out right. But in the end of the day, you're gonna say what you gotta say. So sometimes, and I'm thinking of the people that are blunt, even if it's not the best way, that will go in the kind category. So some of these assholes that are my friends that I know are really kind and as sweet and soft and subtle as I am, I'm not so kind. That's crazy. All right. Motivation, self-image, or social approval. Think of it. If you had a job, especially, you know, um, yeah, take for example this podcast. At the end of the day, I would love social approval, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna say what I need to say on my topics, on my shows, whatever come to mind, whatever. As far as guests are concerned that come on, we already are on the same page before we come on behind this, in front of this camera, and we're gonna let people know um, genuinely, realistically, and truthfully, which is some of the basic principles of the show. I'm not gonna get on here and basically do lies. I don't need to like put on airs of me being more than what I really am. So now I'm not coming on here to be nice. I'm coming on here to be kind. Motivation for and kindness in the motivation category is genuine concern for others' well-being, which is definitely where I would say that I'm at. Um, because I've had people since I started this that have watched shows. I didn't even really know him, I might have known him from someone else. And he was like, "Bro, you stepped on my feet. You said something, boom, 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 boom." And that's at the end of the day, like that's what I'm about. If you can get something from this, I'm not the best motivational speaker in the world. I'm probably not the most commercialized looking podcast in the world, but at the end of the day, it's my voice going in here and into your screen, whether it's your TV, whether it's your tablet, iPhone, Android, whatever. But my voice is coming through, and I'm doing my damnedest and my hardest to give you the best sound quality, the best visual quality that I can give you, and the best message or the message in the best way that I can give it, and to give you fun and entertainment in the best way that I can give it. And my guests that come on definitely always follow suit, follow right in line with the vibe and the energy. I love the people that I've picked on here, and I'm trying to have a successful program. At the end of the day, it would be, um, it would feel good to have millions of views and hundreds of subscribers and what have you. Actually, I'm at 96 right now. I'm trying to get 4 more to subscribe. So if you're watching and you ain't subscribed yet, go to subscribe now, please. I'm trying to get there. At least, 100's not a big number. I know brothers that got 500, 600, 700 subscribers on up. At the end of the day, I have over 50 shows that I've done. I'm not doing it solely for likes and views. I'm doing it to gain an audience that likes to hear what I have to say. Um, and that's kind of almost the same thing, but like not the same thing because I know that I have a lot of shows that may not have had over 20 views. I have some that have almost 300 views. At the end of the day, I'm not going to stop doing these videos. So I might as well go ahead and start liking, start watching the whole thing, get the whole point, you might get the whole gist. I might not get hot toward the middle or end of the fucking video of the show. You might have checked out on the part that might not have been all that entertaining. My bad. I got a little stage fright too, but I try not to show it. At the end of the day, this one's an eye opener for me. So I'm gonna start being nice, less, and kind more. And I'm not gonna hide or sweep under the rug things that might need to be said because the person may not take it 100% right. But at the end of the day, anybody that knows me knows that I speak with love and compassion and respect. But I'm gonna just start shooting straighter and making it known and start to put boundaries in place so that people can trip over their own shortcomings and not mine. I've never mistreated anyone. Um, I take that back. I've never mistreated anyone that was dear to me. Um, it's about love. I'm growing in ways that I didn't know I could grow in. Especially doing this podcast is making me really look at things that um, I didn't look at this, quite the same before. My eyes are opening a little bit more wider. They're definitely helping me to treat people differently, and it's helping certain relationships along the way. Because at the end of the day, that is something I hold dear. I don't want to lose anybody. I don't think anybody does. You know, and there's a little bit more to me. I think that meets the eye than for most people because I will tolerate things because of looking deep into a person, really learning and studying a person, and it caused me to learn and be a little bit more, like flexible, I guess, and tolerant. But at the end of the day, I don't want to. I don't want to enable someone's toxic behavior because I'm being tolerant. If that makes sense. So I had to draw the line because I had to put new boundaries that I don't wouldn't have normally had. Um, and if I know that someone is being a horse that has to be force fed in front of that well that I've led them to, I have to walk away from that. If that horse can start to drink without my help, then we can work with that. But if that horse is literally just stubborn and literally just wants to just wait for me to force feed him, hand feed him, then yeah, that's not happening. That's not happening no more. I'm not about that life. um, the glasses again. I want to go over these quick little because it's Friday. You know what I'm saying? I'm fresh to death. About to go out. Some key differences. And this is just kind of like straight to the point, like differences. Nice wants to be liked. The person that if they'll do anything for someone to be their friend or for someone to like them or for someone to accept them. And many of us are in that category. I kind of think I have been, and some of the money might have made that, more of my thought process. Lack of a long term relationship with my mom, my family, I'm just looking to replace what I feel I never really had. Um, but again, I'm refining. When you refine, think of a steel worker. He has a pot of molten metal. I don't even really know what that is, but the fiery molten, uh, what you dip your steel in, and when you dip steel into that mixture, it burns at such a high temperature that it heats the steel to its core, and it takes off all the impurities on that steel. Once he pulls it out, sticks it in the cool water or liquid, and then beats off the rest of the impurities that didn't forge onto that steel, making that steel newer, better, stronger, and less corrosive. Beats it, shapes it into what he wants to shape it in. So us as people, learning, progressive, growing, knowledgeable, clear thinking people, some of us, um, we want to refine off of the parts that don't fit no more. Because when you learn and you accept and can process and understand knowledge, wisdom, understanding, everything that you knew before that should not still fit unless it's just what you want to be or who you are. Kind wants to help, even if it's not in the most appropriate, social appropriate way. Nice avoids discomfort. Don't hold back. I mean, be considerate of someone's feelings because you don't know what type of mental disorders people have to deal with, what they're going through. Be nice, but be respectful. We're not going to use nice in there. Respect, because we know nice as a synonym, as a double side word. Be respectful and say what needs to be said. Period. Be grown. If you're an adult, be an adult. If you're adolescent, be a young adolescent on his way to being an adult. Practice then, which you'll do later. Nice. Oh, no, back. Kind steps into it when it's needed. So in other words, you don't just go around just like you judging and like you got some, you know, you on some mission to tear everybody down. That's not inappropriate. But if it's someone in your circle, someone in your social that you care about, or just somebody that you might just be fond of. You don't even have to be like super close to him, but like, man, I fuck with this dude. Like, man, he's gonna mess up on his job. If somebody don't tell him, he might lose his job. Like, you know, that could be stepping and doing what needed. Nice says, quote, you're doing great, even when you're headed for a cliff. Keep going. You can do it. Like, does he know there's a cliff coming? Did you tell him? Of course you did. Kind says, I care about you, and I think you might be going in the wrong direction. And they try to help you turn around so that you don't hit that brick wall. But apparently you didn't see it first. Um, but the phrase to remember is nice is reactive, kind is intentional. Reactive. That's a pretty good word. Um, like think back to that husband that said his wife's hair was good even when it wasn't. The reaction or reactive part of it was him not trying to start a fight. And man, who hadn't seen a TV show, sitcom, movie, or something about the husband that is asked by the wife, "Baby, how does this look?" And then the crowd goes, "Oh," and he's like, "Oh, you're fine, you're great." She could ever be stained up and fucking looking like Bob the Builder and some more. It's reactive. Intentional, Al Bundy. So if you don't know Al Bundy, you better YouTube that, Google that shit. That's intentional, but that's also kind. Nice. Think of a TV character that would be Morbid, not morbid. Was it morbid? The Eddie Murphy one. And they had he had Eddie Murphy played like 10 roles in that one. Orbit, morbid, orbit. You know what I'm talking about. That one. But that would be nice because he was scared of Morticia or whatever her name is. His name is Eddie Murphy to play his wife. So with that, I'm gonna be kind and say, go find you something to do, but don't get crazy tonight. And don't be nice, be kind. Thank y'all for joining me. Thank you for watching. Hope you like it. It was short and to the point, but at the end of the day, work on being kind. Tell people about their shit. To do it in a respectful way. Don't be nice. Um, don't be a pushover. Don't be weak. Be kind. Be that. Be him.